So we can start.
Very good afternoon to all of you. And I must say that we have gathered here together. We are going to spend close to 1.5 hours, and this is going to be a great enlightened session in terms of the advancements that has happened in the agri sector. This complete webinar is organized by GI Group India. GI Group India is world's leading HR services organization, working with more than 20,000 clients in 50 plus countries across the world. The organization believes in giving equal opportunity of work, make a sustainable impact to employability and employment through change lives. That's the hashtag which we use. It has a phenomenal one which has got tremendous coverage in the last 2 years and predominantly post-pandemic, where we've been able to contribute to the sector as well. We also mean more than work. We have invested in understanding the landscape and the need of human engagement. Hence, we have carved out human capital services as in temporary staffing, permanent recruitment, permanent hiring as we call it, apprentices engagement, compliance services. We also offer homegrown and partnership enabled HR tech tools, which definitely acts as and ensures a brilliant camaraderie to discipline and productivity at work. GI Group India is a key global player in the HR space, believes it in our commitment to foster industry discussions and shape the future of staffing. We are introducing an engaging and thought-provoking industry webinar series where we aim to explore the emerging trends in various industries and their potential impact on the economy and employment. The first webinar session will be, or what we are going to do today, is on agriculture industry. We have titled it as Industry 4.0. I'm sure all of you are familiar with it, and we are calling it as Transforming Indian Agriculture Industry, the catalyst for growth and employment generation. My friends and all the participants, all of you know the agriculture industry in India is the threshold of a new or needful paradigm shift towards adaptation of smart solutions. Industry 4.0 is promising pathway to increasing the sustainability of farming and increasing the demand for skilled professionals. As the sector embraces innovations of Industry 4.0, the workforce is expected to upskill, which is going to be one of the focal point of our discussion today, adapt to emerging technologies and contribute to a more efficient and sustainable employment landscape in 2024. Today, with the help of our esteemed panelists, we look to explore and be enlightened on the key aspects of growth, skilled need or the skilling need, employment opportunities in the agriculture and the allied sectors, the implications on sustainable work practices, and what should the employees and employers expect in the changing paradigms. With a lot of pride, I take this opportunity also to bring the speakers, my panel speakers, to all of you. It's a moment of pride to introduce Mrs. Pragya Kalia. She is the Managing Director, Plasma Water Solutions India Private Limited. Welcome, Pragya, and we look forward to hear from you. While I say that, it's important for me to say a few words about Pragya as well. Pragya started her career as an economist with CII, leading their Gujarat chapter. She has been a business leader over 2 decades with cross-functional leadership stints across consumer-centric domains like consumer durables, BFSI, healthcare, oil and gas and media, with leading brands like Eureka Forbes, Philips, IB, ICICI, ExxonMobil, and HT Media. She has held country-level leadership positions for the past several years. She was the CEO with one of the Eureka Forbes joint venture companies and joining Hindustan Times as Vice President Production and Circulation in 2017. HD stint of hers set a new benchmark of 100-year-old print media industry since she was the first woman in the circulation business ever hired by a company. She was successfully led and grew the business consistently for 5 years. Pragya currently is Managing Director India of a US firm known as Plasma Water Solutions Private Limited, which is an agri-tech company. Plasma Waters is set to bring in next green revolution in the world, that too in the most sustainable way. And once again, Pragya, welcome as a esteemed panelist for this event. Before we move forward, it happens that we have the men of today's webinar. I take my pleasure and a lot of pride to welcome Mr. Rajesh Kurup. Rajesh Kurup is a general management professional with leadership experience across multiple sectors, a man with a multiple facet, multiple roles. During the 27 years of global experience, Rajesh has worked with some of the finest business leaders and managers from across the world in diverse industry sectors. Leading business startups, organic and inorganic business expansions, and business turnarounds, he has had the opportunity to adapt contemporary strategies, techniques, and tools to effectively transform organizations from where they were to and to ought to be. Working with bright and young talent in cross-functional teams toward meeting stretched goals in something that he enjoys the most. And we'll definitely hear a lot of such experiences, Rajesh, from you during the day. As a general manager, Rajesh has held leadership roles in finance and audit, HR and change management, corporate branding and communications, project management. He's trained in problem solving and project management, Six Sigma and G's change acceleration process. As an alumni of this Ranchi in 1995, Rajesh had distinguished himself on large and unique projects in India, US, France, Spain, Hong Kong, Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and of course, many more. Rajesh possesses a true understanding and good experience of human processes and mindsets. Mindsets, my friends, very important here. Is passionate about synergies across multiple areas of functional expertise to create unique solution that helps corporates unlock their true potential. Is passionate about the human resources function and keeps himself updated on most of the developments in the space. It was a pleasure to welcome you, Rajesh, and read about the phenomenal journey of yours. So look forward to hear from you. And
thank you.
Next is one of my good friend and one of the esteemed panelists today, Mr. Ratnesh Kumar Pathak. He is a marketing professional with MBA Marketing from Manipal Institute of Management, a multifaceted marketing professional, worked with multiple industries. He has been in product management, brand management, new product development, and has good understanding of consumer insights. He has hands-on exposure in multiple FMCG categories such as food, spice, dairy products and beverages, mouth fresheners, etc. And we'll hear all of those expertise and that he has been involved into. And leading companies like DS Group, Godfrey Philippe, Cafe Day. For the last 7 years, he has worked with leading companies. And he has been associated with rural and agri industry and has learned the rural media habits and accordingly created balance in promotional activities. Rural India, a very, very important subject, and we are going to hear and learn about a lot from Ratnesh today. He has expertise in ATL promotion, BTL activations, managing consumer outreach, exhibitions, actively involved in complete communication, brand visibility and recall through different mediums. He rapidly adapts to new environments, starts adding value to quickest possible and build relationship with key distributors. He is an efficient organizer, motivator, team player and a decisive leader with the ability to motivate teams to excel and win. Ratnesh, I think this ability to quickly turn around, develop relationships are extremely important for the youth, for people who definitely looking for these inputs. And we shall definitely get enlightened from you during this period. Okay, so once again, welcome to all of you. With this, I think we will be starting the session. So just to give you all the framework, we are going to have certain questions wherein we are going to have a discussion with the panelists. Followed by that, I think we have a huge pool of people who have enrolled and they would have their questions as well. So we'll take up this with their questions, put to them. Overall, we're looking forward to a great learning session from all of you and understand the Industry 4.0 with the focus again on what is the catalyst for growth. This complete program, the complete webinar is organized by GI Group India. So the first question is, what is the key modernization and technological advancements with an emphasis on smart technologies and sustainable practices in the agriculture sector? And we take the privilege to welcome this question and put across this question to you, Pragya. We would like to hear from you. We are not able to hear you. I think, organizer, can you please put up the slide of Pragya and enable her to talk? We are not able to hear you. The slide is up. We are not able to hear. Yeah. We can't hear you.
You may have to unmute yourself, Pragya.
While we fix that, Sudeep, is it okay if some of us just go ahead and give a shot?
Yes, yes. So Rajesh, what do you think are the key modernization and technological advancements with respect to smart technologies?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we are actually living in very exciting times as far as agriculture goes, right? One of the I would say a tough choice between being number one or number two, but this is the first or the second organized activity that humans did. Either agriculture was the first organized activity or hunting was, right? So either of these two were the first organized activity that man did. And the history of agriculture is as old as humankind itself. Now, when you cut down to today and into the future, if you look at it, we have more number of humans today than ever before on the planet, right? And what that means from an agriculture perspective is that in the next 40, 50 years, the fight for food, fiber, and fodder is going to be more than in the past 6,000 years, okay? So in the next 40 or 50 years, we are going to be consuming more than we ever consumed in the last 6,000 years. That's number one. Number two is that as the population grows, we will need more place for people to live and work, not just farm and feed themselves. And interestingly, agricultural land also tends to be the most easiest as far as diversification goes, right? It's more easier to convert a farmland into a city than go to a place where no farms can exist and build a city there, right? So the pressure on agricultural land is going to enhance like how in the next 40, 50 years. So agriculturists and agricultural organizations like myself and Ratnesh's, we will have a very, very big thing, whether we like it or not, whether we're prepared for it or not going forward. And that is to transform it from being a rustic organization to a contemporary sector, right? The entire agriculture will need to metamorph into something substantially different in a very, very short period of time, right? From being nearly zero tech, right? From plowing using bullocks and then through scattering a few seeds and waiting for monsoons to now we will have to do precision agriculture, to have weather forecasting, to have soil sampling done, to increase seed and soil productivity, to use inorganic methods, to have DNA splicing to ensure that we have the best as far as agriculture, outputs, crops, everything is possible. So this sector is going to like turn on its head and dance like how, right? And we're talking like in crazy speed. I cannot visualize, I do not know of any other industry which will have to turn on its head as quickly as agriculture needs to. So what that means is it's very exciting time for bright young talents to actually look at a sector like agriculture and then arm themselves and prepare themselves to be ready for the future, right? The next generation of agriculturists are going to be very, very different from who currently occur, right? So that's in a nutshell as to what I see, like 4 or 5 major areas, that agriculture is going to morph itself.
Great.
Rajesh, over to you.
Yeah. So Rajesh, as you rightly said, we started from hunting, and 6,000 years back, the way agriculture was being done, and now it's totally transformed. We can say that it is transformed India. We are transforming India through agriculture. We can say, in other words, earlier we were totally dependent on nature, but now everything we are able to manage. Even then there's no rain, we are getting it irrigation done. We are managing it through precision farming. We are using drone technology in agriculture, where a lot of benefits are happening for the crop. Effectiveness has increased, efficacy of the agrochemical has increased, and because of that, right, technique is being used, and effectively it is being controlled, be it pest attack, be it fungus attack, be it anything, crop nutrition. Everything has changed the way it was being done, and now it is being done in India. Especially we are behind, but we are equally pacing our speed, matching the world-class agriculture. Now, just to add, we are also depending on smart farming. It is all about managing farms using IoT. In India, we are no less behind than any other developed country in terms of using AI, using smart farming, wherein robotics are being used. Few of the areas where, for right from plantation till harvest, we are using technology. And nowadays, smart farming is very much accessible, and our farmers are using it. If you go towards central India, southern India, from the grapes market, from the grapes productions, I have seen many things have changed. Coming to agriculture, biologicals, a lot of things I have changed. The diverse group of products derived from naturally occurring microorganism, which is again healthy. It is adding value to the crop and getting the right stages. If I talk about more, we can have Pragya is back. We can have from Pragya to focus more on this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry. I was to talk about tech, and I was, battling with the tech itself. So first of all, a very good morning to one and all. Thank you, GI Group India, for having me here today. And I'm so looking forward to learning from my co-panelists. Today, Rajesh is from industry and expert. I don't call myself an industry expert, honestly, because you just heard my introduction and I'm from different kinds of industry. But yeah, I'm a eternal student. I consider myself like that, and I love to learn new sectors, new industry, and that's what I've been doing for last 1.5 years in this industry. What really interests me most when I was going through the entire history of tech evolution in agriculture is the way we have, covered the journey so far. So it all started, if you all know, fag end of 19th century, we were talking about Ag 2.0, where, we were still talking about mechanical machineries like tractors and all of that. And from there till today that we're talking Ag 4.0, and in between there was definitely Ag 3.0 which came, which was more of introduction of GPS into agriculture, which was a very big breakthrough, because all that happened was started actually from the GPS introduction in the agriculture, because that made it possible to track things the way Ratnesh was just explaining, or Rajesh was just sharing with all of you. So it was a very interesting journey for our sector, because from there, the whole idea of sustainable agriculture, how do we really use technology to enhance the productivity, to be more efficient on the input cost usage, etc., came into picture. And then we moved to 4.0, which is smart farming, which Ratnesh was just explaining about. And in this, today as we speak, we are talking about sensor equipped robots, we're talking about GPS control, paired with autonomous machinery with computer vision and sensors like rovers and drones. We're talking everything which is there in there in other sectors. Of course, agriculture was touched little late, but we still have, I think, seen a huge rounds of technological advancement in agriculture. And it is a very welcoming stage that we are in, because from here we go to digital farming, which is already being discussed in the developed nations, as ag 5.0. And they talk about accuracy, data collection, efficiency, data accuracy, timelines of doing the same to help the end users. So it is very important to understand what are the benefits that these technologies have inherently brought to the agriculture sector. So I can divide it into three broader categories. One is optimum usage of inputs. So if you see, cutting down on excessive chemicals, what Ratnesh was just explaining is, knowing when do you need to, spray the chemicals, when is it, how much quantity should be sprayed, how efficiently can you spray. So if you take the example of drone spray, there is uniformity, there is, optimal usage of chemicals, because of which you do less pollution of the soil, you remove lesser, I would say, unburden the soil. And similarly, rationalization of water, which is such an important resource for all of us, we know that, right? So introduction of micro irrigation techniques. So if you see, all in all, it's optimum usage of inputs, what, when, how, is very well understood now, and it can be followed. And number two is better monitoring and predictability, which wasn't there earlier. Today, a farmer can, using these technologies and apps which are there, can go for early detection of diseases, prediction of weather conditions. And this helps and aids in better crop planning by the farmer, and also understanding of the yields, what is going to be my yield, and therefore how should I really manage my further, I would say, economic cycle. Similarly, better market linkages, that is the third benefit. I think, to me, this is one of the biggest, I would say, a boon to agriculture, because now we are more like a connected agriculture community. And this gives better market linkages to, especially small and marginal farmers who would otherwise be untouched by some of these technological advancements which are happening. Now, there was a very interesting study which I came across of McKinsey recently, which talked about importance of connectivity in agriculture, and what it means in terms of turnovers, or what it means in terms of I would say productivity. So by just doing this advanced connectivity, using your LEO satellites, or your all the latest methods of LPWAN or 5G, all of that, what is it that is going to happen? It will unlock the potential of $500 billion of agriculture to GDP, to global GDP. That's huge. That is like increasing 7 to 9% of productivity in a way. And today, what we need in the current scenario where climate is fast changing, there will be food crisis on the table very soon. It's already started to happen, I mean, in different parts of the world. It is very important that we kind of understand that these technology adoption is only going to help us solve those mega crises which is going to be seen by the world. And it's not just a problem of India, It is the problem of every other country, right? And I'm very happy to also share, that one of the deep tech which we have brought to India is plasma water technology, which just by simply using water, air, and electricity can enhance productivity. So coming back to this, if you see where this $500 billion unlocking of potential is happening, if you see, this is a chart which Sudeep is showing here, which actually explains each of these different aspects. Like smart crop monitoring adds to around 130 to 175 billion. Drone farming is around 85 to 115 billion, and so on and so forth. So this is where we are going to be unlocking the potential of agri. And to me, this is a very, very positive news. And I think to all the people out there who still feel that they typically go into the discussion of whether technology is good or bad. I think it's a way of taking it, it's a way of understanding it in your favor. Yes, Sudeep.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think we had a great opening question. I mean, there's so much of insights. Phenomenal. I think I kind of, just to give you a recap, Rajesh, the 3 Fs: food, fiber, and fodder. I mean, amazing. I mean, I'm sure, if this webinar is getting watched by some prominent directors, they must have started the plot of probably a movie on agri sector. Phenomenal. I think I liked it. I've written it down. Food, fiber, and
think about it. It is so intuitive. It is so natural, and that is what human, the entire developmental cycle of human is all about, right? It's about food, fiber, and fodder. You have that, and then you're able to stitch everything together, and everything else becomes subservient to it, right? So, yeah. I think it's very interesting insight on technology. I mean, I think there will be two sets of technologies that will branch out. One would be the linear technology, which is around efficiency, productivity, and all that. And then there would be the entire non-linear technology, which is about how do I get many more things done at the same time, which would probably be about intercropping, about using non-land as a farming area. So I don't know, can we have lab-based proteins which are cultivated with a plant or non-plant or whatever it is, right? So there's a whole series of non-linear and linear things which will initially start together and then diverge and then interweave as it goes together. So we are into some very, very exciting times. I think for students with STEM background, this is an awesome opportunity, the sector.
Sure. No, I mean, I agree what you said, and I think great insights from Ratnesh also. I think the tech-driven farming which is happening, or which definitely he has seen from very close eyes, and the kind of impact in the rural India that has made. He spoke about, I think, micro farming. He spoke about data-driven farming. Can you imagine? We are talking about data-driven farming. We are not in the hands of, we are not left to praying, but we are talking about data-driven farming. We are able to analyze, we are able to forecast. I think Pragya brought certain very interesting insights: smart farming, drone spray, of course, smart crop monitoring. And I think these are phenomenal concepts. I think everybody who has registered today for this webinar, which is kind of brought to you people and arranged by GI Group, is getting enlightened a lot in the industry, about the industry and the progress, the transformation that has happened in this industry. Taking it forward, as we have heard about technical advancements, transformation that has happened, a large pool of people are job seekers today in India and exploring their likely opportunity in agriculture field. So my second question is related to that, which is precisely that due to automation and digitization, there will be a simultaneous surge in demand for skilled professionals as well, right? The skills that we spoke about, there's going to be an additional demand. Question is, what are the key skills from employment perspective which each one of you look forward or would prescribe to people who are already in this sector to reskill them and skill them, and people who are probably in the colleges looking to ask for an opportunity to work in agri sectors, agri machinery, agri tech? what are the things that they need to sharpen their skills apart from the study portions? Question goes to you, Rajesh.
Oh, so very interesting question, I think, and I think that would be very, very pertinent to young minds and also for oldies like me who've been in industry for long. Though I'm pretty new to agriculture myself, but nevertheless, there are 10 broad areas that I can see where there could be a substantial skill difference, right? Firstly is the morphing of agriculture itself into being precision agriculture, right? We're talking about IoT devices, we're talking of drones, we're talking about precision, irrigation, precision, pesticides and fungicides, precision fertilizers. So if that plant in my farm needs nitrogen versus another plant needs phosphorus, I should be able to give it in a precision dose so that it is right for it. It doesn't kind of burn the plant, right? So precision agriculture, and that therefore creates a huge skill need for very skilled technicians, right? So it is no longer left to judging and feeling and tasting the air and what conventionally has been happening, but it becomes a very a technical science of figuring out and saying if this, then this. So there is an luckily the devices and the network and the technology around us is so smart. So you just need to be a technician. You should need to operate the right set of things. So there's a huge technical technician requirement there in precision agriculture. The next one is on smart farming equipment, right? So the same tractor, the same harvesters and all that, they're no longer mechanical, right? And they are neither just mechatronic, they're actually smart, right? You will have integration of AI, you will have integration of robotics, you will have, devices or equipment that can read the pulse and then autonomously execute the task that they're supposed to be doing there, right? So this is what I would call as the smart farming equipment part, right? The other point that Rajesh beautifully brought about, which was about data-driven decision making. Imagine this, data-driven decision making in agriculture, right? You've been talking about this in just about every other section, in pharma and everything. Now it is just as important in agriculture, and that's where this whole thing would go. You will have a series of data coming in, and you will be able to take decisions saying that, do I sow now? Do I not sow now? Do I harvest now? Do I not harvest now? Right? So it's all data-driven decisioning that will happen there, right? This is the land of entrepreneurs. The next big thing that, from an education perspective or for the audience that is here, would be a whole need for agri-tech startups and entrepreneurs in the agri space, right? In each segment of it, right? From farming to supply chain to taking it to the market, like how Pragya was mentioning. Can I cut the intermediation that is required between a producer and a consumer of agriculture, right? Now, in this, there will be some very interesting stats that we'll have, right? It is fashionable to have organic and all that, right? But please be mindful, organic farms are 25 to 30% less productive than, a digitally or a genetically altered one, right? So you have to somewhere match between, a high quality produce versus a high volume produce, and then see what is the requirement, especially in the fast growing economy with arable land coming down. So somewhere some of the trade-offs will happen, and good part is that there will be a part for everything that is available, right? So again, from a skill perspective, need entrepreneurs in the agriculture sector, and the more STEM students get into, science, technology, engineering, math students get into the field of agriculture, the better it would be in terms of making the whole sector autonomous and very good, right? Last part, which what I call, like how you started off, Sudeep, is on government advocacy itself, right? Industry 4.0, robotics, AI, all of these need a completely different narrative or language that has to be communicated with the government to say that, hey, this is not your average Johnny, old school industry called agriculture. It is cutting edge and technology, and it needs the same set of love, care, nurturing that is required as any other tech industry. So there has to be a whole lot of government advocacy that goes in, and it can't be your the previous economy or the old school guy who goes around and does this advocacy. It needs a fresh young blood who goes around and has this advocacy conversation with the government, so that the needs of the modern farmer and of the modern consumer is suitably put across, heard, and addressed by decision makers so that policy advocacy can happen the way it needs to happen there. So from all directions of an industry's planning, you need a completely different reskilling, retooling, and re-education, if you will, for the sector.
Absolutely. I think fantastic. So I think what you said, Rajesh, is definitely enticing technicians, people who definitely have that look keenness to do this technical stuff. We will have a lot of opportunities with the word smart, or the kind of work that is associated with the word called as smart farming, the technologies that is coming up. Uh, there's definitely a lot of work that's going to come up, and to do those jobs, there's a lot of manpower requirement that will happen, and hence the need for this understanding the new technologies and then ensuring that they are there. Uh, Thanks, Pragya and Ratnesh. Quickly, would you guys like to add on this, that from
Yes.
the what would be probably 2-3 lines that you'd like to add for the people
Raj,
who fall into that category of job seekers or people who are looking for a career advancement?
so Rajesh has covered multiple aspects to it. I would just like to summarize that we have employment opportunities in drone pilot section, agriculture scientist, agronomist who are experts and they can add a lot of value being agronomist, what is to be done, how it will be done. Agriculture engineers for bringing new technology to the farming segment. Then digital performance, as we talked about precision farming, we talked about smart farming. Then the performance and growth marketer for the overall agriculture, how it is being, how we can grow this further. And then growth analyst, how, where, when, which market, which section, which crop, how to increase the productivity, how to increase the profitability of the farmer, how to increase the overall contribution for the GDP. So these are the things where young generations, young bloods can focus and become as per their interest and contribute in nation building. Dhanuka has always believed in agriculture, and recently we have, for the last couple of years, we have been working a lot on new agri-tech, including drone farming. We have covered maximum northern India with drones of spray and precision farming as well. So I have seen from very close. So it is not bookish knowledge. I'm sharing my personal feedback, personal experience, how the shape of agriculture is, changing and getting transformed. And I said, transforming India through agriculture is the mantra that Dhanuka is working. And I'm sure in the time to come, the entire perspective of agriculture will transform. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Very rightly summarized, Ratnesh. So, just to give a rationale behind appreciation of why what has been said by both Rajesh and Ratnesh. So, this has been seen in all the sectors. And a very fine intersection between tech and marketing, tech and R&D, tech and product management. Data understanding is something which is going to be the flavor of the day for everybody, irrespective of who you are, what you are doing, because without that, things are not going to be really complete for any professional. What I have seen is also that with the advent of these new technologies, new service capabilities are also needed to support the technologies and to kind of serve these rural areas, who are using the equipments or more advanced smart equipments, right? So technicians, as was rightly put up by Rajesh, also the analyst and agronomist, which was spoken about Ratnesh, are very important, jobs which are going to be coming up. But again, the definition of what an agronomist used to do earlier, maybe 5-6 years ago, and versus what is he going to do now, is again going to be very different and changing. Then the other aspect for the sales and business development professionals that they need to understand is equally for them to appreciate technology, and demo based selling is something which is happening instead of the box pushers, which used to be like you can go and sell a product, and instead of that, now you're selling a concept along with the product and not just the product. So those are the changes which are there, and because of which you need to really continuously kind of upskill and educate oneself continuously in all the functions, irrespective of which function you are.
Fantastic. So
Nice.
I mean, just to summarize, because this has been, I think we suddenly saw kind of an increase, an influx in the more people got registered, because I think we picked up a question which is with respect to employment. So I think thanks to all of you. Just to summarize, I think technicians, engineers, agronomists. We also spoke about, or rather Pragya mentioned lastly, which is the sales professionals and who basically do demo-based selling. These are predominantly the 5-6 different roles that's kind of coming up. And I'm sure along with this, there will be a lot of work that would be done, and would need marketing professional, digital awareness, people who can do digital marketing and etc. Right? Which brings to my next question, and this time I'm going to go to you, Ratnesh, because you do actively a lot of work in marketing, right? So I'm just kind of bringing a little bit of insights that probably 20 years back, agriculture industries used to be all that we have seen subsequent to the wars that we have been part of. We popularly heard Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan kind of a thing, right? So what it used to be that agriculture, the photograph or the way the presentation of digital of agriculture used to be, it's very different. And it requires a lot of transformation today. So, you see technical advancements being shown in the photographs. You show a lot of kids, you show a lot of girls going to school who basically belong from the agriculture sector. So which means that there is a lot of work that is required in rebranding it, making it more appealing to people, and bringing a lot of facts. How do we do that? If you can share certain insights, and along with that, the kind of employment opportunity involved in this as well. I'll come to all of you one by one. Let's begin with Ratnesh.
Yeah, thank you, Sudeep. Very questions that I love the most. The agritech is like the superhero, and considering this, we have started doing pranam to the kisan, and that is how we say India ka pranam har kisan ke naam in our brand communication. They are the one who are feeding all of us. So with due respect, we are also inculcating the new technological advancement through precision farming, drones, new age technical molecules, biological products, and rightly said by Rajesh in previous question, that balance between a lot of things are being heard from many sectors, that organic farming. But the moment you talk about organic farming, it is not self-sufficient for we cannot be dependent on organic farming, because the moment we have seen many examples. We have seen Burma, Sri Lanka. There, what happened? Suddenly, complete economic collapsed because everybody was depending on the organic farming. But it has to be proper balance. So far in India, we are the country, we are using the least agrochemical in our land. It is being projected as a different perspective, that we use excess of agrochemicals, but this is not the fact. When we compare India consumption of pesticide in agriculture field, we come maybe less than Pakistan, Nepal, these countries. When we compare with China, we use 1/10 of agrochemical. This is factual. It is not my feeling. It is fact. Now coming to the questions, how it is helping. So as I said, the agritech is like superhero, and they are working day and night, making India self-sufficient, making India proud. We are exporting our stuff and the foods to many nations who are in difficult times. So from precision farming and smart farming, irrigation, and the data-driven technique that we talked about, agri-tech is revolutionizing how we grow, harvest the crop. So it helps the farm to fork the entire maximize opportunities for all the services and all the people involved in agriculture, right from the harvest to the processing to making it available in the right market through precision planning, right planning. We have got all scientific support which keeps the fresh vegetable intact, and at the right moment it is made available for the consumption. We have got processing of food. This opportunity has helped to, when we talk about value additions, value added products. So from paddy, we develop many other items, and that value additions are the outcome of right technology being used at the right time. When we talk about tracking the journey, the produce coming from farm to table, optimizing logistics, it ensures that food gets rightly delivered at right time. And for needy people, we analyze data where it is available, where it is required. Accordingly, it is being supplied. Now, checking the fields through camera, we have seen many instances in past due to snake bites, due to not properly being used agrochemical. Many farmers, many laborers have died. So using technology, we can get away from all the mishappenings that have happened in past. So these are the outcomes of using technology in agriculture. Able to generate more processed foods, as I said just a few minutes back, increases shelf life. Yes, using right technology, using right substances, the shelf life has increased. Earlier, we used to save for 1 day. Now it is available for 1 week. Same thing. So these are the outcomes of using technology. We have got high nutrient products. Farmers can give the services like plant doctors and scientist consultations online. Yes, all services are available online. We have seen many consultants are giving advices to the farmers. Many YouTubers, through using technology, the correct information is being spread among all the farmers who are requiring, who are looking for more solutions. So these are the outcomes of technology being used by the farmers, and because of all that, the crop loss has minimized, the yield has gone up, and as a result, the farmers are getting more products, more profitability, and then the happiness, most important part among the farmers who used to be seen as a bechara kisan. Now, Vahi Kisan, they have become smarter, and now the new generations have put a lot of energy to bringing this farming to the next level farming technology. Yeah.
Great. Rajesh and Pragya, while I think Rajesh spoke insights about probably the branding that has happened in terms of the transformation that has happened in the branding. I'm sure there's a lot of branding that is required order also in order to attract some of the best talent. So, and today we have no dearth of technology to do that as well. So my question to both of you, and I would like to hear from both of you, is that how is that we leverage, let the world know about the kind of opportunities that exist in this sector and the allied sectors. How are we doing that? What kind of investments is happening? What needs to be done more?
Pragya, if you could.
Yep. Okay. So thanks, Rajesh. See, something which is very interesting for me is that a lot of people, if you see the startups which are there in ag sector today, a lot of people are going from city back to the rural areas with those startups. And there is some linkage, direct or indirect, or they just see the potential, right? Some of them also have some farming background, but most of them see the potential. What is very important for us as a sector is to really position agriculture in a very smart way rather than just keeping it in the same realm which it was earlier, which is something to be done by uneducated rural areas, people who do not really have other options. It is no more that. Okay, with all the technological advancements which are now touching the ag sector, I think one thing which I have seen personally through my interactions with the farming community is that the next generation, which was obviously moving away from rural areas to the urban areas in the, following dream jobs, etc., because they didn't want to do the agriculture the way their forefathers were doing, have suddenly started also seeing agriculture with a different lens. It's not happening at a very large scale yet because we haven't positioned agriculture in that way yet in India. But if you see, people are still looking at when the drones were introduced, the drone training, the young folks really like to operate those drones. And there are training schools which are in kind of retaining the talent of the village within the village. And it's very important for also balanced economic development of the country, where if the rural talent gets retained in rural areas itself with very, very interesting jobs, then they would definitely not move to the urban areas, and we still protect the farming land, etc. So somewhere I feel that the positioning of agriculture is yet to be done in that way, which retains the talent of the village within the village, and also the entrepreneurial skills which are there, which is needed. Because rural, if you ask me, it has so much of potential. It has huge potential. We have seen, and that's why so many ag tech companies are running after all the rural businesses. I think somewhere this entire education and awareness of how do we really retain the talent of the rural areas within the rural community is something which I feel is a responsibility of all of us, all the players in the ag sector. And that will happen also with the change of positioning, which is to me is still there's a huge amount of work which is to be done. Yes, Rajesh.
Beautiful points, both Pragya and Rajesh. I would just like to kind of say three things on this one, right? Number one is on the positioning part, right? So, I mean, it's very interesting if you dial back into history. The greatest scientific temper actually emerged from agriculture, right? That's how you had tools and techniques and studying of seasons and weather and pattern and meteorology and hydrology. And I mean, everything emanated from the farms. Then it moved into the labs and it stayed there, never came back. And then somehow we started feeling that the cousins in the farms are the ones, who are kind of left out in life and all that. And guess what? Life's turned back a full circle now. We go back to the front. Now, if you look at it, one of the biggest things that technology does is completely eliminated the rural-urban divide, if you will, right? Now there is the knowledgeable versus the wise divide, if you will, right? So then the cities you have the knowledge, but the wisdom resides in the farm still, right? So and life is very interesting twist. It's going back to the wisdom of figuring out, saying that you can do all your creative stuff provided you have a full stomach, and for that you need to go back to the farms, right? So that's very interesting part there. What that means for all of us is that if you look at it very interesting, there's a whole pile of young entrepreneurs who are doing a lot of stuff on edutech, right? In my mind, very quickly those will start morphing into skill tech, right? Because education by itself is important, but it doesn't deliver anything, right? How do you actually transform education into skills? And is there a digital dissemination of skill tech that can happen? And once those entrepreneurs step in, you have a completely different sea change, and the direct beneficiary of that is going to be in agriculture. And like how Pragya mentioned, it be your drone technicians or your precision farmers or your go-to-market specialists or your last mile logistics guys or your cold storage folks who can put everything together. So there's a whole new, currently unimagined and therefore non-quantified economy that resides there in the entire skill tech domain. So we don't know how many trillions of dollars of economy we are talking about, because it's not even imagined. Quantification to dur ki baat hai, right? So this is one. So to agree ki rebranding is probably like past due. But the good part is it is like rushing at us like a comet, right? It will happen like boom. Right? So to your question, Sandeep, that you began this whole discussion with, which is like Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, and it's now morphing to Jai Vigyan. Okay, so once science gets into all the areas of Kisan, right, you'll start seeing a completely different set of players coming in. And some of us from the audience who are sitting here, I'm 110% certain that they would be like the flag bearers, who would be driving a completely different science-led or knowledge and wisdom-led, morphing of how the entire sector starts and positions itself, right? Second point is on the market access part, right? This production is exciting. You can do precision, you can do whatever kind of production, but how do you take it to the market, right? How economically, how far, how fresh can you go, right? Because geography is history, right? So if I produce a shrimp here on the coasts of Tamil Nadu or in Andhra, then how quickly can it reach a table in Seattle, right? I mean, that's the that's the whole generation, and there's very interesting stuff happening there. Again, skill tech and deep tech that is working on that. I mean, I've been reading about pisciculture and prawn farming, and they were in the deserts in Texas, right? I mean, in huge tanks, and their productivity per cubic foot of water is much higher than anywhere else in the world, right? And again, it's IoT devices, just a few high-skilled technicians working out so that water is minimally used, reuse happens, and in the middle of a desert you have a prawn farm, right? So things are changing, and it's all science, and once our folks start adopting science, we will become an unstoppable force, to reckon with. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think prawn farming in a desert is a disruption, I would call. It's
Exactly.
probably one of the wild thinking that we are talking about, right? So great. I think we picked up a lot of important things from this last question. Branding is very important, and I think organizations will keep looking for ways and means to take jobs to the people via the marketing base means, and I'm sure people like you will definitely be doing a lot of innovation in that as well, because that's the need of the hour. But having said that, one of the things which comes, and this is probably one of the last broader questions that we are touching upon today, is the framework. See, success is definitely on two things. One, you get to a framework, then you build extremely good governance, and then kind of keep doing that, right? So I think the framework, which is very important. Now, when I say framework, it is about two. If you are looking for people to be good technicians who know smart farming and all of this, I think there has to be some changes to be done, or innovation in the curriculum also, which gets taught in universities, colleges as well. So I'm going to ask you guys that question, that what kind of transformation you people think is required in the curriculum transformation. And the next thing is about government reforms. Of course, the reforms which have been put by government is like a wind at the back, and it's working right. And what more do you think you guys will expect on this? So two questions, I mean, part A, part B of the same question. Would like to hear about the curriculum piece, and then of course about the government reforms. This time to the lady, Pragya, I think we would like to hear from you.
I think this question is best answered by Rajesh, because that's what his area. But yeah, I would still try to share what is my experience which has been for last 1.5 years. So I feel really there has to be a sea change in the curriculum. We need to obviously integrate some of the practical studies, which is missing big time. And when I have hired recently some of the graduates from the colleges, and I really feel that they have good knowledge, good theoretical knowledge, but when it comes to actually applying that in real life, that is something which is missing. So I think if there is an integration of practical school, which is more of say a year long hands-on experience with one of the corporates would, or even with government, I mean basically on field experience, like typically it is there with some of the engineering institute, would always be good. That is something which I have found a big miss. Also with the change of with the advent of new technologies, and the way for example you have to look at agriculture, the kind of innovations which are there, and therefore, the knowledge to marry your concept with the application on the field is something which is again missing. And I think those should be introduced. I know that there are curriculum on AI and machine learning which is already being introduced in some of the colleges, but I really don't know how practically those I would say programs are taught. No, I'm not talking the best of agri universities. I'm talking average universities which are there in India, because when we go to rural areas, we try to hire people from the local agri universities or colleges, and that's what has been my experience, that there is definitely a big gap which has to be covered very quickly. But over to Rajesh, because that's his absolute subject. I think being a CHRO, he can answer that better.
Sure. Ritesh, would you like to say something?
Yes,
I'm no expert in
I can do, because I have been very closely working with Krishi Vigyan Kendra KVKs. There, lot of framework is ready, but lot of R&D, the Anusandhan part, which is missing so far in this discussion. We talked about Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, but Jai Anusandhan was the need of the hour. All and all, more and more R&D is done, more and more we get the benefit out of it. So more focus on R&D, more and more new technology is being adopted, being demonstration is being done in the farm. This can be shown to all the farmers, all the agricultural colleges, wherein the practically how it is being done to maximize the profit, to maximize the yield, how we can create that new and new variety, seed treatment, how if it is done with proper seed treatment is being done, the quality, the input will grow up. Right time for the preventive usage of agrochemical. We should not wait for anything to happen. The crop damage once done, if we see the data, uh, it goes in millions, the wastage goes in millions, the damage of the crop goes in millions. So to safeguard that, we have to practically show the benefit of preventive usage of the medicines. See, we human beings are also dependent on medicines. When we sick, we go for medicine. To remain healthy, we take nutrients at the right time. We take all the vitamins at the right time. Why not for the crop? So my question and my submission for the entire agriculture community, the government sector, to focus more on R&D, go for preventive usage of all the medicines that is required as of now, and the right utilization of the uh, mm, the mediums that is being developed. See, once the crop is ready, but we do not have right transportation, then the entire effort will go in vain. So government required to put a lot of action in providing that support to agri input company, to the farmers, to provide the transportation facility with good refrigeration capability, so that it remains fresh. सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, everything is fine, but lot of effort is required to be done from all sectors, government, private sectors, agriculture universities, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, and the utilization and adoption of technology is the need of the hour. We have grown, but a lot of way to go to see the golden India, Soni Kichadiya coming back to India.
Fantastic, fantastic. Rajesh, I think last few minutes we would like to hear from you, and then definitely we wrap up.
Yeah, so firstly, disclaimer, I'm no expert in nothing. So I'm just a student figuring things out, and very, very proud and happy about the opportunity that life gave me on this stage, right? So, the second part is that as India's biggest seed producing company, we have a very interesting, life as at Rasi Seeds, right? Our business pipe starts and ends with farmers, right? So we produce seeds from farmers, and those produce seed go to commercial farmers, right? So we are very lucky to have farmers at both ends of the pipe, and then we are able to study as to why would a farmer want to produce seed, and why would a farmer want to buy the seed that is produced, because it has to be good. Only then they would buy it, right? And if we are in India's biggest, means kuch na kuch to sahi kar raha hoga. That's why we are India's biggest kind of stuff. So what we have been doing is that we've been studying as to what actually drives adaptability from the minds of a farmer, as to what is it that they're actually looking for, right? And for the purposes of this question, what I would want to do is that if I transpose some of those knowledge and learnings into what is required from the education side, so that agriculture gets right teaching, right? So in my mind, so it's three things, right? And I'm just going to call it SCBI. It's culture, brand, and innovation. Okay. To look at the entire culture part of agriculture, right? How is it that we transform the culture to being a very innovative, very fun? How do you make agriculture cool again? How do you get some of the hardest working, smartest minds to go back to the farms and say that, hey, let me try out some creativity here, and is there a better method to do that? And if you look at large entrepreneurs or people who are adopting agriculture, not as a hobby, not as an exotic pastime, but from a sustenance perspective and wanting to make an impact perspective. And then you take that down to, and there are so many stories if you read in the current media. Both me and Pragya come from the same company, right? So in our past, HT. If you go and consume current media, you will see that there are so many people who are actually living high-paying jobs in cities and going back to agriculture, and they're not jettisoning their knowledge, right? They're taking their knowledge and applying it in a new place, in an old place for a new outcome, right? That is the culture that is shifting in agriculture, right? And that's so powerful. What we now need, educational institutions, is to jumpstart this and accelerate this entire thing, right? So that's on the culture side. Next is on the brand side, which is where, and I completely agree with Pragya on this one, saying, how do you make agriculture cool again, right? And how do you rebrand the entire thing of agriculture, saying that it is not for someone who's left out in life, but it's for someone who would truly want to express yourself, right? I mean, that's where you have to showcase your brilliance and your creativity, and then do some things differently. It be intercropping, multi-cropping, micro-cropping. How do you do a completely different method of do that? And how do you attract best capital, best intellectual property, best assets to come and invest in agriculture as a sector, right? In the last part, exactly what Rajesh was mentioning, which is on the innovation side, right? How do you jumpstart the complete R&D process? How do you make people look deep inside a seed to go and figure out and say, what do I need to do at DNA level to the cropping level? So take the agronomy part of it, marry it with macroeconomy, marry it with national security, marry it with food security, and then merge it all together and see, is there an innovative non-linearity that I can access, by way of agriculture, right? Put all this together and you have a completely new curriculum, right? Which is not your classical efficiency driven curriculum, but this is how agriculture originated, right? The story of human civilization is actually agriculture, right? So long as the reason why you and I are sitting here and having this conversation is because we don't have to worry about what's for lunch now, right? Someone somewhere has farmed it and brought it to the, but if we were to forage for food, guess what? I'm not going to have such conversations at all, right? The story of human evolution is actually driven by agriculture, right? How do you take the current generation and put it back to the beginning, right? And then say, how do you now do here? The constraints are completely different. Like I said, it's a more populous earth. It's environmentally much unfriendlier than ever before. And the pressure on arable land is much higher. Before, water is scarce. And yeah, think about all the complexities, just time it by 10 or 100, and that's the reality today. But how do you still go ahead and perform, produce something which is very, very different? That is what has to be taught in our curriculum now.
And just to add to that one, sorry, Sudeep, just to add to that one line, which is extremely important for, especially in Indian context, is how do we really shorten the innovation cycle? Because what's happening is you have great innovations and I would say happening in the rural belt, but how do we really cut it down so that it sees the light of the day and it does not dies natural death somewhere there, So I think that is something which is again is going to happen if our education institutes are also supportive of some of these causes. There are extremely intelligent students. I have been interviewing some of them, and I came across a very interesting case. This gentleman is from far off Tamil Nadu, one village, and I was interviewing him for one of the roles, and he actually told me something that he has done for his village. He's an engineer and also did his BSc agriculture. Went back to his village, and he wanted to actually create this impact in his village of educating his father, who's a farmer, and the whole community. And he found it very difficult to explain to his own community. He's from the community, and he found it very difficult to explain to his own community that if you do this, you will get 2x of the productivity that you're having right now. Now, there is handholding of such individuals which is needed in the village, which who today are absolutely clueless. They don't know what to do, and they end up doing a job somewhere. So I think
Powerful.
that summarizes that somewhere there is a big gap that needs to be really plugged in by us.
Powerful.
I think,
Powerful.
yeah, I think three of you, I feel in a span of 1 hour, probably 1 and 15 minutes, we kind of covered 50, 60 years of history put together. And this is phenomenal because of two important reasons. I think the audience definitely got insights that what they need to do, which is from the skills perspective, even from the reskilling perspective, the awareness, the industry awareness perspective, the kind of innovation that is happening and would happen. And I think for a layman also to understand it, again, going back to the 3F, the food, fiber, and of course the fodder. And it's going to be with me for some more time. And thanks, Rajesh, for that. It's a brilliant 3Fs that I'm talking about. And I think the kind of reforms that has been also done, and the need of more things to happen, the universities, the colleges to adapt and look around and say that if we need more technicians and smart salespeople and more engineers to kind of, and such is going to be the demand, then let's catch them young and coach them on all that is required to be known by them in next 3-4 years time or 5 years time. So I think that's very important. That's what we touched upon. We also looked upon that, how branding and marketing is important and what kind of things are happening. The general awareness, I'm sure this session will make a lot of people go through and Google what is called as micro farming, what is called as drone farming today. And I think that's the great thing that we can give it back to the society to ensure that their knowledge increases. Thanks to all of you. It's been a pleasure to have all of you here as a panelist. We would look forward to have you people in our future events as well. And this as a initiative of GI Group India would be like a caravan. We will move from one industry to another and keep enriching our fellow countrymen and of course the job seekers and the entire HR fraternity in terms of helping the job seekers and getting enlightened, enriched with their experiences. Thank you. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to all the people who had registered for this beautiful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.